Yo, what's up guys? My name is Zach. Hope you're all having a fantastic day and welcome to the day 156 recap of the 2016-2017 NBA season, where we talk about everything that went on in the world of basketball from the previous day. And now that we got the intro out the way, let's just hop into everything that did go down yesterday in the world of basketball. Born Ready has come home. Yes, Lance Stephenson has returned to the Indiana Pacers on a 3-year, $12 million deal. Now, I'm sure when most of you think of Stephenson, you associate him with the Indiana Pacers, as he was often seen, as their wild card. How can I best describe him? He was kind of like what Draymond Green is to the Golden State Warriors now. He was a hard-nosed defender, he can make some plays, and most importantly, he just wasn't scared of anyone. He was kind of like the heart and soul of the Indiana Pacers team back then. In the 2013-2014 season, which was Stephenson's best year, he averaged a shade under 14 points to go along with 7 rebounds and 4.5 assists. Both those numbers really don't describe how important he was to the team, which is why I kind of said that he's like the Draymond Green of the Pacers. Just the energy and everything he brought to the team was really irreplaceable. However, in the summer when Lance Stephenson became a free agent, things kind of fell apart for him in the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers had offered him a 5-year, $44 million deal, and Stephenson thought he was worth more than that, so he decided to take a 3-year, $27 million deal with the Charlotte Hornets, with the mindset being he's going to use that time to prove himself, to make a bigger name for himself, and then to cash in on a bigger check. However, we all know things didn't go so well for Lance Stephenson once he got to Charlotte. He kind of fell off the map. And since then, he has had short stints with the Clippers, the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, and the Timberwolves. He's still only 26 though, so the possibility of him getting back to his former self is still definitely there. Especially now since he's going to be reuniting with Paul George, so maybe that'll spark something inside of him. Because as it stands, Indy is currently in the 6th seed, but they haven't looked too great over these past few games, and a lot of people do consider them to have been a disappointment this year. I mean, they were expected to be the 4th, 3rd, or even compete for the 2nd seed in the East, but of course it just didn't turn out that way. Hopefully though, for Indiana fans, Lance Stephenson can return to his former self now that he's around Paul George and even Larry Bird as the owner. Because the Pacers sure could use his energy, his defense, his playmaking, his unpredictability. Just everything that old Lance Stephenson brought would be great for this team right now. And that's going to lead us to the question of the day. Do you think Lance Stephenson can return to his former self? Do you think that being in Indiana back around Paul George will help rejuvenate his career? In my case, I personally think it can. Like I said before, he's only 26, so it's not like his best physical years are behind him. Actually, he's just now entering his physical peak. Also, maybe Larry Bird knows the key to get Lance Stephenson going, as earlier back in 2016, I believe it was, he had an interview, and in that interview he was asked about Lance Stephenson, and he kept saying that Lance is a little different, and he always knew that once he left the Pacers, his career would fall off a bit. So, maybe he does know the key to get Lance going. Let me know your answers down in the comment section below. But speaking of your answers, let's check out what some of you guys said from yesterday's video. Yesterday, after Nurkic set a career high in points on his former team and then told them to have a nice summer after the game, I asked you guys if you believed he went too far. And most of you guys said no. Most of you guys loved what Nurkic said. Jamal Jones says, I think more players should do what Nurkic did. If a team lets you go and you made a statement, then make sure they regret letting you go, and DeMarcus Cousins should do it to the Kings, since what they did was ignorant. Yeah, that pretty much sums up the mindset of players who were traded from a team and then play against that team again. It's like a here, let me show you what you missed out on type of thing. It's kind of like when you want to stunt on your ex. Most of the time though, it can cause players to play sort of out of control and really not have the best game overall. So I'm happy for Nurkic that he was able to have not just a good game, but an excellent game. And as for Cousins though, I can definitely see that being an emotional game for him, especially when he returns to Sacramento. That's going to be extremely emotional. And I know the Kings fans are going to cheer for him because he wasn't traded. It's not like he demanded a trade. They're going to show him all types of love, but he's going to be trying to put on a show for, like the ownership and, everyone else in the upper management. Monsilo Kim says, Nurkic didn't go too far. I love Jokic and I'm a Denver Nugget fan, but I gotta agree that this is exactly what the NBA needs. Also, I think that this was a good trade for both teams because the Nuggets got a good backup center and Nurkic found a team where he can play the minutes he deserves. Also, you cannot say that Denver screwed up because they gave up Nurkic. You have to remember that Nurkic was actually the one who wanted the trade in the first place. Great vids, STC as always usual, capable of good. First off, thanks for the support at the end there. And yeah, Nurkic was unhappy in Denver because he wasn't getting the minutes he felt he deserved. And that of course was because of the emergence of Nikola Jokic. There was actually a time early in the season where Nurkic was starting over Jokic. You know, Jokic was coming off the bench and Nurkic was the starting center. And then Denver was like, yo, this Jokic guy is actually pretty fire. Let's give him all of the minutes. You know, Nurkic, you know, kind of chill out in the back, maybe get your 10-15 minutes here and there. And Nurkic just wasn't having that. He was getting kind of frustrated. So they did trade him, and now he's getting the chance, you know, to prove that he's a pretty good player too. But still, Nurkic was the one that wanted the trade. I'm sure he didn't mind Denver as a place, but this was just his chance to show them what they missed out on. Thanks for all of your comments from yesterday, guys. Don't forget to answer today's comments down in the comment section below. But now let's hop over into the games from last night. One important thing that doesn't show up in the box score is the will to win. Some players hate losing so much that when the game is on the line, they will do anything it takes in order to get the win. We saw it in the Thunder's previous game when Westbrook scored 15 points in the final 4.5 minutes to lead the Thunder past the Mavericks. And that will to win was on full display last night as Westbrook had his second 50-point triple-double this season, tying James Harden, who also has 2 50-point triple-doubles this season. Do you guys understand how crazy this is? That this year alone, we have seen 4 50-point triple-doubles, and before the season started, there hadn't been a 50-point triple-double since 1975. 57 points, including hitting a 3 with 7 seconds remaining to send the game into overtime, as well as 13 rebounds and 11 assists, which, by the way, is now the highest scoring triple-double in NBA history. And the Thunder get the 114-106 overtime win and clinch a playoff berth. I still can't believe that we have seen 4 50-point triple-doubles this year. I hadn't seen one my entire life up until this point, and now all of a sudden in a few months I have seen 4. Just absolutely crazy. Evan Fournier had 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists for Orlando. Props to you, Russell Westbrook. One day after their showdown with the Houston Rockets, the Warriors weren't quite out of the water just yet, as now they would have to face Kawhi Leonard and the rest of the San Antonio Spurs. And to start the game, I thought it was going to be a rerun of how the Spurs had beaten the Cleveland Cavaliers a couple of nights ago, as San Antonio got out to an early 22-point lead, but the Warriors fought back, took the lead, and took the win. Yep, a 22-point comeback win for the Golden State Warriors, and this one, 110-98, was the final score. Stephen Curry led the Warriors with 29 points and 11 assists, while Klay Thompson also had 23. Kawhi Leonard scored 19 for the Spurs, and the Warriors now have a 3.5 game lead on San Antonio for their first seed in the Western Conference with under 10 games left to go in the season. Both of these teams logged their last win against Detroit Pistons. New York winning by, I believe it was like 14 points, and Miami winning on a buzzer beater tip in by Hassan Whiteside. And Miami kept New York around for a decent amount of time, you know, just gradually increasing the score until they wound up with the 105-88 win. And the Heat are now only 1 game below 500. I know that doesn't sound impressive, but if you can remember how they started off the season, it just seems like a miracle. Dragic was flames as usual with 20 points, 9 assists, and 7 rebounds, and James Johnson, fresh off sending the Pistons Marcus Morris to an early grave, had 18 off the bench. Porzingis scored 20 for New York, and Rose set this one out with knee pain. Hope everything is okay with him. A battle between 2 of the top point guards in the league, Chris Paul versus John Wall. And the game plan for both of these teams looked like it was just to score, 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 and score some more. Don't worry about anything else, just score. And that's exactly what they did up until the 4th quarter when just a bit of defense was being played. Both of these teams scored at least 30 points in each of the first 3 quarters, and the Clippers get the 133-124 win despite John Wall being unconscious from the field, scoring 41 points on 16 of 23 shooting. Chris Paul had 27 points and 13 assists. Redick scored 31, and Blake had a near triple-double of 26 points, 9 assists, and 10 rebounds. And DeAndre Jordan almost had a 20-20 game with 23 points and 18 rebounds. It's safe to say that this was the Clippers at their absolute best last night. Bradley Beal also scored 27 for Washington. The Hornets at this point aiming for the best pick in the draft they possibly can get, and the Raptors trying to make a late push for the 3rd seed in the East. And the Raptors were on a 5-game winning streak coming into this one, except the team that needed to win lost, and the team that needed to lose won, as the Hornets get the 110-106 win as they explode for 44 points in the 4th quarter. 11 of those points were scored by Marco Bellinelli, and the Hornets overall just couldn't miss in that period. Bellinelli finished with 21 off the bench, while Marvin Williams had 18 points and 12 rebounds for the starters. Meanwhile, for the Raptors, DeMar DeRozan had 28 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds. This was just one of those games where if you were a Celtics fan, that it just must have been so frustrating to watch. I mean, trying to cling on to that #1 seed over Cleveland in the East, and you were never down too much, right there the entire game, but you just couldn't get the lead. Every time you would get a chance to take the lead or tie the game, the Bucks would make a play. And that eventually led to the Celtics falling to the Bucks 103 to 100. Rookie Malcolm Brogdon was clutch in the final minutes of the game as he scored 6 points in the final minutes, including a jumper that was well contested by Avery Bradley in the final seconds to seal the deal for Milwaukee. The rookie finished with 16 points and 9 assists, while Giannis had 22 points and 9 rebounds. Isaiah Thomas had his usual performance for Boston with 32, while Avery Bradley had 12 points and 10 rebounds. Gordon Hayward returned for Utah after sitting out their previous game, and the Jazz, got the pretty easy win over the Kings last night. 112 to 82 was the final score, a 30-point blowout, and that was mainly because the Jazz outscored the Kings 34 to 15 in the final period. Gordon led Utah in scoring with 20, while Gobert had another one of his usual nights with 16 points and 15 rebounds. Ben McLemore had 22 for Sacramento off the bench. Yesterday would have been the perfect day for the Pacers to have Lance Stephenson back, as they could have used his energy and sense of unpredictability against Memphis, as the Grizzlies built a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter that they would never give up, and end up with the 110 to 97 win despite Marc Gasol missing his 3rd straight game. But this was a win that Memphis desperately needed, as they were on a 4-game losing streak. Mike Conley has taken on a huge offensive load in Gasol's absence, and he has been doing a really good job at it. He had 36 points last night, as well as 6 assists and 4 steals, while Vince Carter took yet another sip from the fountain of youth to log 33 minutes at 40 years old and scored 21 points. Paul George had 22 for Indy. I'm getting kinda excited about seeing the Pelicans play next year. People were kinda nervous that the Cousins AD experiment wasn't going to work throughout the first 10 to 15 or so games after the trade, but as of late, they are finding ways to win, and it is getting exciting. Granted, they had been without Cousins for the past couple of games, but he returned last night, and they weren't getting the win without him, as the Pelicans edged out the Mavericks 121 to 118. Cousins with 29 points, 16 rebounds, and 6 assists, while Anthony Davis had 30 points and 13 rebounds. Jrue Holiday also played well with 18 points and 7 assists for New Orleans. Meanwhile, Dirk Nowitzki had 23 points for Dallas, and guard Devin Harris was ejected for getting too close to a referee. And the Pelicans have now won 7 of their last 10 games. If the Bucks keep winning, then the Hawks have to keep winning, even if it means doing that without their all-star big man in Paul Millsap, as the two teams are currently deadlocked for the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference. And fortunately for any Hawks fans out there, they did win again, their 2nd in a row over the Sixers, 99 to 92. Dwight Howard turning back the hands of time to maybe 2011, as he had 22 points and 20 rebounds, and Tim Hardaway Jr. had 19 for Atlanta. Richaun Holmes scored 25 for Philly. And that's gonna wrap up all the action for the day 156 recap of the 2016-2017 NBA season, and now it's time to get into the player of the day. Yesterday, you guys selected Jusuf Nurkic and his 33 points and 16 rebounds as your player of the day, and here are today's nominees. I'm gonna do it just because I have to, but I already know who you guys are gonna pick. You guys already know who you guys are gonna pick, but here are the nominees anyway. Russell Westbrook and his 57 points, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists. Dwight Howard and his 22 points and 20 rebounds. DeMarcus Cousins and his 29 points, 16 rebounds, and 6 assists. Stephen Curry and his 29 points and 11 assists. Chris Paul and his 27 points and 13 assists. Or Blake Griffin and his 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. You guys can go vote for the player of the day right now by following the straw poll link in the description box below. But other than that, thank you once again for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already for more daily NBA videos. And until tomorrow, keep getting the Bucks, Team SDC, and I'm out of here. Peace!